You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Raziri
and Sonia Tapley.
Hey mamas, welcome back to another episode of the Geriatric Mamas Podcast. Today we're talking about extra IVF embryos and how tough the decision of what to do with them is for women who have gone through so much to have their miracle babies and M babies. What to do with extra embryos has been a dilemma for so many IVF families. So today we're going to talk through 3 possibilities for those whose journeys are complete and one for those who still love to have another baby, but age, health, and other factors are in the way of pregnancy. Please subscribe, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Mamas, I love a full and silky texture in my face creams because they feel so healing and comforting to my dry, thirsty skin. Well, the award-winning, best-selling, lightweight moisture release water cream by Honest Beauty called Hydrogel Cream refreshes and cools my skin on application and leaves a dewy finish. As I mentioned on the Hope episode, Kathy's Story, I love mixing Hydrogel Cream into my foundation for a healthy looking glow. Infused with jojoba and squalene to help hydrate and soothe thirst, plus 2 sizes of hyaluronic acid to help soften and firm, reducing the appearance of fine lines. Honest Beauty's Hydrogel Cream will provide a beautiful glow for very dry skin. We're leaving the link below in our show notes. Drink up, mamas.
Mamas, I want to have rosé all day, have fun, and let myself live a little without feeling drunk or feeling hungover the next day. So I treat myself by adding rosé tinted glasses to my sparkling water or lemonade. If you're like me and you're looking for calm daytime energy while feeling alert, present, and uplifted because, well, you know, you're a mom now. Adaptogenic and antioxidant-rich ingredients make rosé tinted glasses from Apothecary great for those battling feelings of stress and looking to curb signs of aging with improved skin tone and moisture. Its tincture format makes it easy to drop wherever you're making it. It's perfect for busy working moms, busy stay-at-home moms who are looking for mood and energy support on the go. We're leaving the link below and in our show notes. So cheers, mamas.
So remember on the 40 and Fertile AF episode when we talked about the fertility clinic, the Center for Reproductive Health in Nashville, with the man who was treating patients but wasn't a licensed doctor or a medical professional of any kind?
Oh yeah, that guy? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that clinic shut down completely and unexpectedly in April, and people were in the middle of their treatments and or had embryos created there. Like, what the hell? So there's been an update that was posted a few days ago on News Channel 5. The district attorney decided not to press charges on the man who wasn't a licensed doctor and did not respond to the News Channel 5's request for an interview. He sent out a letter from his office stating that he acknowledges the profound distress and pain experienced by those affected and said, "We extend our deepest sympathies to the victims." Fuck off. Like,
yeah.
No, you do not. Like, do you really understand? Like,
he doesn't even understand what sympathy means if that's his statement.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And also, like, are these people getting any of their money back, I wonder?
I don't know. I don't even know if they're getting their embryos back because, you know, they still have embryos, like, frozen.
Right. So it's like, are they getting their money back? Are their embryos going to be like transferred to a different clinic? Are they going to get them? And then it's like, imagine being like mid-cycle also. And it's like, you're so ready for like transfer day. And then it's like, just kidding.
Yeah. Not doing it.
Or like, what if you were in the middle of like a fresh transfer? So like it has to be, or you lose it. Oh my God. That would just like,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Crush me. Yeah.
Awful. I can't imagine. And for the DA to not find anything criminal in what happened,
understand that.
There's so much wrong there. He presented himself as a doctor. He called himself a doctor. So that alone should be a crime.
Right.
I don't know.
It's a crime to pretend to be a police officer.
Oh,
Isn't it worse to pretend to be a doctor?
Yeah.
Like,
and especially women and women's health. Like, he had to stick instruments inside. Like, this should be like sexual assault, basically, because I'm hearing that basically his track record obviously wasn't great as far as getting women pregnant. So he's basically just like doing the procedures of IVF and then like basically not getting women pregnant. So it's basically sexual assault.
Gosh. Oh God. Ugh.
Yeah,
I don't understand how that they don't consider that to be wrong or an
right.
offense in any way. That makes no sense to me.
Right.
Like, please explain yourself. Please
Hopefully
explain
there'll be
yourself.
a retrial because obviously this is blown up. There's so many people who've come forward who were treated by this doctor since it all came out in April. So I'm hoping there's something that, happens, but obviously we will be following the story, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So today we're talking about extra IVF embryos and how tough the decision of what to do with them is for women who have gone through so much to have their miracle babies and M babies. What to do with extra embryos has been a dilemma for so many IVF families. So today we're going to talk through 3 possibilities for those whose journeys are complete and 1 for those who would still love to have another baby, but age, health, and other factors are in the way of pregnancy. So we're going to get started with a recent post on Mums Over 40 on Facebook, and let's just get into it.
Okay, so the Facebook post on Mums Over 40 reads, "Hi everyone, I had my first child at 39 naturally. Then I had 5 miscarriages before being accepted into IVF to conceive my second born at 44. I still have 2 embryos and 9 eggs remaining. I want to go again for a third, but sadly age and time is not in my favor. I don't want to destroy my embryos as I went through hell to get them. I lost so many potential babies. I feel if I destroy them, I'm killing them." Ugh, yeah, I feel that too.
Yeah.
"If I donate, it's my baby out there that I would not have any involvement or wouldn't know if I passed them on the street." Yep, I feel that.
Right.
"As I work in the scientific area, donating to science is never an option, as to know they splice the embryos is like slicing my child strip by strip. To me, they are equally heart-wrenching. How do I let go? Which option do I choose? Once you have frozen embryos, they need to be carefully stored in liquid nitrogen until you are ready to thaw them for transfer. Storage costs usually range from $350 to $600 per year, depending on the clinic." I
Yeah,
feel all of that.
I know. It's so heartbreaking to think of letting them go. So many women go through this, and a lot of times it is a financial burden to get that bill every year, and you're not ready to make the decision yet, so you have it looming over your head. And then there are other people out there who just know that their journey has come to an end and they have their miracle babies and that's all they need, but they can't think of like donating them and having their kids walking around, like she said. So it's such a huge and it's such a tough decision. So we have some comments from the Facebook group who saw this post. One person said, "Is compassionate transfer an option for you?" So to break it down, a compassionate transfer of embryos is a procedure where a patient requests that a medical professional transfer embryos into their body when pregnancy is unlikely to occur. The term compassionate transfer is used to reflect the provider's empathy in facilitating the patient's desired method of embryo disposition.
I don't get it. So, like, they'll
So-
transfer them to the mother knowing that they're not going to attach. and they
Right.
won't-
So you can transfer to the mom like right before, say, her menstrual cycle, or right before she starts menstruating, and then the embryos go the way that they would have gone if
Oh, I get it.
they never implanted. You know what I mean? Basically, to break it down further, is that people believe that the embryo's passing is more similar to a miscarriage than intentional destruction.
And I guess there is something beautiful to that option too, where it's like they finally do get to go back to the mom. And so she finally
Right,
is
yeah.
reconnected with them, and
Yeah.
she gets to let them go to the other
Right.
world, and pass on versus
Right.
like a lab where they never,
Right.
get nurtured
Yes.
like that. So there is something, I think, comforting in that option. I
Right.
think that's beautiful.
Right, it is, yeah. So another thing to note is that not all clinics perform compassionate transfers, and those who do may charge a fee, obviously. I mean, patients who are considering a compassionate transfer should seek support from a mental health professional and make a disposition plan. I think, mental health is probably a big one for anyone going through extra embryos that they know they're not going to transfer at the time when they would
Yeah.
stick, for sure, because that's just such an emotional thing, for sure. So.
Absolutely. So, another comment, I was in the same situation, transferred my last two embryos to a surrogate, one 3B and one mosaic, and ended with twins. They are 2 years old now. Oh, wait, hold on. Is she saying that she did a compassionate transfer and then she ended up with twins?
No, this is like an entirely
this is just a different thing. Oh, okay. I thought it was like extending from that. I was like, hold on.
Can you imagine? I'm sure some people.
Hold on, though. Could you imagine? Let's just I love the whole hypotheticals here, but could you imagine you're like 50 something years old and you're just like finally have it in you to do something and you decide you're going to do a compassionate transfer and then
and you get pregnant.
Sick.
It's like the last day of your luteal phase. You're like, throw them up in there. And then they were like, ta-da! Hey, Mom. Got twins, triplets.
No. Oh, gosh. Wow. That would be a lot. Well, for this case, she's obviously, this commenter used a surrogate. So next week, we're actually going to have Victoria from Baby Bumps on to talk about surrogacy, the entire process from start to finish, as well as the expenses involved. So that will help our listeners understand a little bit more. I know we had an episode earlier on with Jessie about it, but it's a topic that, there's just so much to uncover. So we're super excited for Victoria.
Yes, it's a vast, vast world, and she wants to come on and kind of demystify some of it, which would be amazing. Another comment on the post on Mums Over 40. So some people take them home and plant them in a garden, or I think even put them in jewelry.
I've heard of that too.
Yeah, I was looking at the website. We'll leave it in the notes. There's a website for the company who does the really pretty embryo jewelry, and there's a whole story behind it. So definitely check the show notes for it. Obviously, when you think about planting them in the garden, you would want to have it be someplace where you're going to be on a more permanent basis.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard for a lot of people because I know, especially these days, people move around a lot.
That's always my thing. Animals, I'm always like, I want to plant like a rose bush or whatever, but it's like, but I don't know if I'm going to stay here, so let me hold on to it. And then you have all these ferns kept in a thing. You're just like, okay. I was smiling when you were talking about the jewelry thing because I was remembering back on an episode of the Kardashians when Kris Jenner was going diamond shopping because she wanted to be cremated and turned into a diamond. She wanted her ashes to be turned into a diamond.
So that just one diamond, just one.
It was one giant diamond, and that's what she wanted. And they're like, "So what do we do with it?" She's like, "You just admire it. You just put me behind glass and just admire me."
She'll put it at her favorite child's house, which will be announced in her will.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just I don't know. So that's why I was smirking when you're talking about this beautiful thing. I didn't think it was hilarious, but I was picturing that. But yeah, I've seen the jewelry thing. I think that's beautiful. So another commenter, it's a tough decision that I had too. I think only you can answer it. Sometimes there's no good option, just the least bad option. Does your IVF service offer high quality counseling? Maybe they could give some helpful support to come to your own decision. Wishing you all the best.
Yeah. It's so true. I feel like when she says, I think only you can answer it, it's, you have to really come to that decision on your own. But at least it's helpful to have all those comments because there's just options that she might not have thought of. There's so many people who wouldn't think of all those things.
Yeah. Hey mamas, are you someone who's 35 plus and struggled with fertility, endured a miscarriage, experienced heartbreaking fostering or adoption challenges, or were perhaps flat out told by a doctor that you will never conceive naturally, and despite the odds, eventually found your happy ending by becoming a mama?
Send us your story at geriatricmamas.com. We would love to feature your journey to motherhood on a future Geriatric Mamas episode. So, another option. Given the original poster's thoughts on donating her embryos and eggs, no one commented with the suggestion of donation. However, lots of families do consider this option. So here are some questions you can ask yourself if you're thinking about donating embryos. So the first one is, how would we feel about another family raising a child created with our genes? It's definitely one that comes up, I know, quite often for people. And would it feel okay if we knew the family we donated to? Or could that make it harder seeing what might have been our child growing up with others as parents? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I feel like for me that would be hard.
Right. Is this fair to the children involved? How will our children feel knowing they have full genetic siblings in another family? What will they make of the fact that it was the random choice of an embryologist who determined which embryo would land in our family and which in another?
I don't like them phrasing it like that, but I guess.
Right. I guess that's kind of how it works. Even though we ultimately get to choose which
Yeah.
embryo, the embryologist still tells us like what quote unquote quality each
Mm-hmm.
embryo is and like what the best chances are. And, you know, if you do genetic testing, which one's a boy and which one's a girl. And so how will children who come from our donation feel? Will they feel displaced, like they landed in the wrong family? Will they perhaps feel a bit like a science fiction project? How will we feel about possible challenges in the future? Our child gets sick, the family we donate to gets divorced, we fervently disagree with the parenting style and values of the other family. There's so much truly to
Mm-hmm.
consider. Next one. If we decide to donate, how should we go about finding a family? Does geography or demographics matter? For example, will it feel good or more complicated to have them nearby? Do we want to tell family members and friends of our decision to donate our embryos? If so, how much do we share of this information? It's crazy because, you know, a lot of people have really, really strong opinions about this.
Right. That's what I was just thinking. And I just, yeah.
As I was reading through
It's
stuff
so
like this,
personal that it's
it
like,
is, yeah. If there are several embryos, do we donate all to the same family or do we divide them? For those who feel strongly about not wanting to discard embryos, it may be important to ensure that none are discarded when the receiving family feels complete.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that would definitely have to be a clause in there. It's like, what you don't use, please give
Right,
back.
right, exactly. If our embryos were created with the help of donor eggs and or sperm, should we seek permission or approval from the egg and sperm donor? How do we go about this if we do not have access to the donor?
No.
Right, I guess
Sorry, my
not.
immediate answer to that is
Right.
no.
Right. That's technical, especially if there's no access. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I should say too technical because like technical is fine. But like too technical when you don't have access to the donor, obviously the donor just like do what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like a common theme with all of these questions is that it's the hard part is that nobody can provide the answer for you but you. Like
Right.
you're literally the only one that could answer. Nobody can tell you how you're going to feel about a situation. Yeah,
Right.
it's just
Right.
it's hard. It's an uncomfortable thing to think about because so many of us until you've been in the trenches of fertility and have gone through IVF or treatments, maybe you don't necessarily consider an embryo a baby or you don't consider them an M baby. So you just look at them as this little egg sac and it's just a bunch of cells and it's not a human yet. But until you really throw yourself into the whole thing of fertility and really understand each milestone is really big and magical and special, it's such a big decision. And it's not just a bunch of cells. It's a future human. It's a potential of a life. It's a lot. It's somebody's hopes. It's somebody's, something somebody worked very, very, very hard to create and put their body through so much emotionally, physically, mentally to get. And so it is a big decision and there's a lot of questions and it's hard. I can only imagine. I didn't make it. I was lucky to have one
Right.
viable. So I didn't have any extra, but for those that do, like Emily Simpson on Real Housewives of Orange County a few seasons back when we first met her, she went through IVF to get her kids and she has some embryos that are on ice right now that are just in storage. And so she was about to hit 40 or 41 or something. And she was telling her husband, like, hey, like, why don't we try for another baby? Like, I don't like them just sitting in storage. And we watched her go through it. She had this little box of like this little keepsake of like they're not in the box, but she had this keepsake of like photos and different memories of the kids and little things. And we saw like all her emotions as she was like going through that decision. And
Yeah, it's a really, really hard decision. There's so many different factors. Like I've heard a story where this person had gone through IVF, had 3 embryos, transferred one, it stuck, amazing, beautiful baby, then got pregnant naturally, but was expecting to use the other embryos to possibly get pregnant again. Ended up getting pregnant naturally soon after first baby, and then was like, well, now what do I do? And like her husband ended up having a baby from a previous marriage. So now he has 2 babies and then 3 babies from, the natural pregnancy, and then two on ice. So it's like this woman is sitting here with 2 babies on ice, 2 babies in real life, and always thought, maybe my husband wanted a boy too, because we have 3 girls. And then but like technically he's like, I have 3 kids and I'm done. So like, so like she's like torn, like, do we want to try for a boy? Is there a boy in there? You know what I mean? It's like there's just so many factors. And then also how heartbreaking it would be for her to know that her babies are out there somewhere in the world. In this particular case, like some people are okay with that, but for her, in this given circumstance, it wasn't okay. So it's like these are all factors to consider. And it's really, I'm glad we're talking about it because there's just so much. So I guess when it comes to big and emotional decisions like this, it's just so important to take the time to really learn about every option, and then take the time to see what your heart really tells you about each. Like a great way to literally see how your heart feels is to sit down and think about each option individually. There will be a sense of happiness or a huge sense of dread when you think about each possible action. And I highly recommend that you try to think about it when you're completely alone and can clear out the noise of other people's opinions, including your partner, because that's hard when you know what they want. And then try to listen to your heart. And once you've identified which option feels the best to you and why, then you can present it to your partner and see how they're feeling and move forward with a decision. Oftentimes, when you take the time to really see how you're feeling, then you can determine why, and then when you present it to your partner, it will make so much sense. And so even if they're leaning in a completely opposite direction, you can oftentimes get them to come over to your side because there's such a big reason why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. So ultimately, yes, the decision does come down to you, but having the education and the time to just really see how you're feeling is so important.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Deciding to donate your leftover embryos or eggs is such a personal decision, and it's not one that we or anyone can tell you how to navigate. As Sonia said, the best thing to do is listen to your heart and lean into the option that feels most comforting. Whether you choose to hold on to them in storage or donate to a family longing for a child, the decision is emotional and yours alone to make. There is no wrong answer. The best advice I can give is to educate yourself. Spend some time researching the pros and cons to all of your options. I'm a huge advocate for a good old-fashioned pros and cons list. However, there are some times where this doesn't always work. Sometimes the heart wants something that doesn't always make sense logically, and that's okay. When it comes to fertility, the heart trumps logic. This list is intended to provide you with additional insight to help you lean into the choice that feels right for you. It's not intended to be a black and white answer. Whatever choice you make is going to be the right one.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
100%.
like a lesson that somebody told me a while ago, that it's like, sometimes like even if it doesn't make sense financially, actually, I'm sitting here saying that somebody told me, and I think I heard it on Housewives. Somebody, i.e. Bravo, told me once recently that sometimes like the right decision for you doesn't necessarily make sense financially. It doesn't make sense logically, but it's what your heart wants. It's what your mental health needs. And that's what you do for you.
Right.
And that's the choice that is the best. So it's like, I will put together, there's been times where I've put together pros and cons lists, and it's like, okay, I understand that like on paper, this makes the most sense, but like this is what I feel like I need to do, and I'm going to do this. And I've had to make those decisions, and that's okay. You literally lean into the one that just feels the best for you.
Right. And pros and cons is so important because it's part of the education process, because you can feel a certain way, but you also need to be educated, and like you can still go with your heart, still go with
but
your
at least know.
gut. Right.
Because like, what if you were thinking that like, this is what's, because to be honest, when I was thinking about donating to science, I guess my mind didn't realize, because I'm not in there, I don't know what they do to these embryos. And that wasn't when she's like slicing and splicing them into strips. And I'm just like, oh, I pictured like chicken strips. I'm like, what the hell? Like, no, gross. That's horrible. But like, I guess I was thinking of like, oh, so then they can learn and it can help with fertility treatments. And then like maybe my cells can help future families, and like that's where my mind went. And now I'm just like, that I know a little bit more about it, I was like, maybe not, you know.
And you know what I heard recently too, which you just reminded me when you said that, like research and stuff. Like, so I guess sometimes, you know how you do the genetic testing and it comes back with the chromosome information and the like if they're a boy or a girl, so gender and stuff. So I was actually reading recently that when they test the embryo, they're really only testing the outer part of the embryo, obviously, because they don't want to hurt it.
Right.
So, and a lot of times what's on the outside of the embryo is like the dead cells. So they're discarded cells. And as the embryo develops over time, even once they're like frozen, they still had developed before they were frozen, and those dead cells are sitting on the outside. So there are some embryos out there that tested like as though they might have something wrong with the chromosomes, but it had corrected the issue before it was frozen. And so there are some embryos that are actually being tested that are saying that we're fine. So they wouldn't have been able to determine this, obviously, without that kind of research.
Right.
So yeah, there are some people who will still transfer an embryo knowing that there could be something wrong with the chromosomes because of that research. And they've had perfectly healthy babies.
Gosh.
Crazy, right?
That is so crazy.
I just learned
science is both amazing and scary at the same time.
Right, exactly. Right. So that is all we have for you guys today.
Yes. So I hope you enjoyed your science class on this Thursday.
And maybe got a little clarity. So reminder, you get 20% off services at Ageless Medical Aesthetics in Westbrook, Maine with the code MAMAS2024, and a free first swim class at Goldfish Swim School in Portland, Maine with the same code MAMAS2024. You'll just need to call them to schedule your child's first visit.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to tune in next week. Your support is keeping the podcast going. You can help by following, subscribing, rating, reviewing, and especially by telling a friend to listen anywhere or watching on YouTube.
Yes, YouTube is so fun.
It is, now that we have it figured out.
If you want to see our faces while we're talking, if you prefer video over audio, highly recommend YouTube.
I highly recommend just listening to the audio, to be honest. You don't need to see my face. But each his own. It's fine.
Yeah. No. For more info, you can check out our website at geriatricmamas.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at geriatric_mamas, TikTok at geriatric_mamas, on YouTube at Geriatric Mamas, Twitter at Geriatric Mamas, and follow our group page on Facebook, Geriatric Mamas.
If you have a topic idea you'd like us to discuss, are interested in being a guest, or simply have a funny geriatric story to tell, you can go to geriatricmamas.com and hit be a guest or send us your story. Bye-bye.
Bye.